take a trip to Southern California with the Locked On Nebraska podcast as we talk about Nebraska and USC coming up next.
You are Locked On Nebraska, your daily Nebraska Cornhuskers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome to the show. Appreciate you making Locked On Nebraska your first listen every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. And today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use Locked On College for $20 off your first purchase.
Okay, welcome in. It is Friday. It's actually not Friday as we tape this thing. We don't want to attempt to fool you here. You can see the sunshine in the background. I am on location, working hard for the pod, doing my diligence in sunny Southern California. It's kind of bright out here where I am right now. So if you're listening on the Apple podcasts or Spotify, you're missing out on the visual of my sunglasses, which are necessary, Connor's sunglasses inside, which are not necessary, but I love that you're fully buying in to the Nebraska USC vibe. Huskers and Trojans, 3 p.m. Central Time on Saturday from the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum. We are back into pick mode, set on this Friday to make lots of picks related to the Nebraska USC game and then what's going on around the Big Ten and around the country. So let's just jump right into it. News on Thursday out of Lincoln. Matt Rhule says that Dylan Raiola is ready to go. He's good to go. Dylan has had a good week of practice. He will be the starting quarterback for Nebraska on Saturday for the 10th consecutive game. Some concern, of course, going into this game because Dylan suffered the back injury in the fourth quarter against UCLA, but he's feeling good and he's going to start. So how many yards will the freshman accumulate through the air in this game against the USC defense? I've set the over-under on this one at 199.5. So the question we have to ask ourselves is, will Raiola get to 200 yards through the air in this 10th game of the season? In Big Ten games this year, Nebraska's 2-4, and Dylan is averaging 208.5 in Big Ten games. Connor?
Yeah, and he, if I'm not mistaken, he does not have he has one 300-yard game, or does he have 0 300-yard game?
He doesn't have any this season. No,
yeah.
several in the 250 range.
Yeah, I think he had, like, I want to say Illinois was 297 or 299 or something like that. It's pretty close. Let's take the over here. Let's the sunny weather, the lack of wind. It's not much Big Ten weather, or I guess it's Big Ten of the West Coast weather. So
this is the Big Ten as we now know it.
Is the Big Ten, and the conditions are swell in November as usual. And Dylan Raiola is going over 200 passing yards.
You can see the palm tree over my left shoulder here. All is beautiful in the world of Big Ten football right now. All right, I'm also going over on Dylan. I think that I'm with you. I think he's going to feel refreshed and energized. It's going to feel like Arizona or Georgia or Texas or maybe Hawaii, all the places that Dylan has had success throwing the football in his lifetime. So going over, he's going to have a 200-yard day at the Coliseum in front of Lincoln Riley, a coach who was very interested in Dylan as a recruit back in his high school days. The other quarterback on the field is Jaden Maiava, USC's young passer who threw for 3,085 yards at UNLV last year in 2023. He's thrown for 60 some odd yards at USC this year, but he gets the start. He has been handed the reins. Miller Moss, take a seat. Jaden Maiava, you're up in this Lincoln Riley offense. Are you the next guy who's going to put up prolific numbers and inevitably contend for a Heisman, as seemingly all of Riley's quarterbacks do? The number here, 214.5 for Jaden Maiava.
Interesting. Jaden's going to definitely bring a running element to the table that Miller Moss didn't. So add that into the sort of, repertoire, the things that Nebraska has to defend. on Saturday. I just think 214 is a little low. I think this is an over for me. And USC's offense generally going to stay the same, and they're going to have a quarterback throw for more than 215 yards.
Okay, so you are you're saying over. All right, I'm saying under. I think he's going to have some nerves in his first start. Maybe commit a turnover or two, and he goes under 200 yards. I see him around 200. Next up, turnover margin for Nebraska specifically. The number is at plus 0.5. So the question, as these things tend to break down, will Nebraska win the turnover battle against USC on Saturday? The Huskers were plus 6 at the midpoint of the season through 6 games this year. They are now 9 games into the season, and they are at 0 for turnover margin on the season. Still not bad, all things considered, when this team was minus 17 a year ago, but Nebraska's been minus 6 in the last 3 games. This is a 3-game losing streak. That's how you have a 3-game losing streak, among other things that have happened to Nebraska in its previous 3 games. So will Nebraska win the turnover battle on Saturday?
They will not. They will lose it. They will go under that, and maybe it's even, or they'll lose it. But that's the buffer I get with the number that has been set.
Yeah, if it's a break even, then you're picking under 2. So you get both the under and the break even point with your selection. I'm going to say Nebraska wins the turnover battle on Saturday. So I've got over.
Good. You're feeling good.
I'm feeling good. The sun is just it's on my head. I got into Southern California on Thursday early in the day, had some lunch at the beach, walked around. I feel like a new person here, Connor. Last night or Wednesday night, which is last night, I was out in the cold in downtown Omaha. Nope, that's gone.
Wow.
Okay. We are going to pick the actual over-under of this game, the total points scored. The total has been set by FanDuel at 51.5, so that's the number we'll use.
I will take the under, but barely. It'll approach that, I think, but I'm going to go be safe here and take the under. I think that's the safe way to go.
Safe way. I'm also saying under. And I wasn't sure how I wanted to go, but then I picked a score and I added up those 2 numbers, and that's where I got. So
exactly.
We'll get to a score here in a minute. Under for me on 51.5. Nebraska's leading rusher in this game. We picked this one weekly. I think we get it wrong weekly. Sometimes right, but usually wrong. Who you got? The Dana Holgorsen offense. Who is Nebraska's leading rusher?
I think I pick Dante Dowdell every week. So let's pick Emmett Johnson. Let's go to Emmett Johnson this week.
All right. Emmett Johnson is your selection. It's also my selection. I think Emmett Johnson, and I picked this because of the Holgorsen system. I think Emmett Johnson's the kind of back who will appeal to Dana Holgorsen. I think he will look at Emmett Johnson's skill set. We may even see Emmett Johnson start the game because of how Dana Holgorsen feels about his ability to fit into this offense. I think he gets the most carries. I think he gets the most yards.
Okay. I like it.
All right. Second question is a little off the wall. It's a little bit different. We're going to look at Zachariah Branch. He is the reigning Jet Award winner, which is an Omaha-based award named after Johnny Rodgers.
Shout out to Michael Severe.
Shout out to Michael Severe, yes. Michael Severe, this is where I got the idea to use Zachariah Branch for this selection. So the longest return, Zachariah Branch was an All-American last season. Still a dynamic return man, a dynamic receiver. Longest return of any kind for USC's Jet Award winning Zachariah Branch. You can get within 5 yards, and we'll give you credit for this one.
I'll say he gets busy a little bit. Let's say that Nebraska avoids the disaster, although it is certainly a higher chance of disaster than most games with that dangerous returner back there. Avoids a disaster, but he still gets loose a little bit. Let's say that Zachariah Branch at some point during this game knocks back a 32-yard return.
Okay, and this can be a kickoff return also. He does both. I'm giving it. I'm saying 30 for my number. Okay,
that's close.
Equally unscientific here. Actually, this is much more unscientific. If we don't have an answer, we don't have an answer. But if there's a clear answer, then this will be one of the selections that is counted in our totals. More fans at the game supporting USC or Nebraska?
Nebraska. I like that one. I like that question, and it is unscientific, but USC, I don't know. It's homecoming though. That gives me pause. It's homecoming for them.
Do you think that matters?
People love homecoming, Mitch. I don't get it. I don't know why. People love homecoming.
People love playing Nebraska on homecoming. Yeah, I'm going to say Nebraska also. I think Nebraska fans, tons of Nebraska fans on my flight on Thursday, a day earlier than what you would expect. It was filled up with Nebraska fans out of Eppley Airfield at the crack of dawn, actually before the crack of dawn on Thursday morning.
Nice.
Lots of excitement, lots of fun. Nebraska fans are coming out to LA to see the Hollywood sign, go to Venice Beach, walk on the Santa Monica Pier, do everything that you do, and they're going to go to the football game also.
Do you recommend the super touristy things? I mean, because those are like the obvious things. Like, what else should people do?
Yeah, I mean, I recommend spending time at the beach. I recommend eating good food. Find some fish tacos that just hit a little bit different when you're out here in Southern California. Soak up the sun, which I'm doing right now.
Nice.
The super touristy stuff. Like, do I recommend getting on the bus that stops at 10 places around Los Angeles and sits in traffic on the freeway? No, I do not.
I'll tell you what I don't care about. The Hollywood sign. Screw that sign. I don't care about that sign.
No? Well, what about the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
That feels like a racket.
You want to go see the little stars there on the Hall of Fame? Are you into like Rodeo Boulevard? You want to see Beverly Hills? You know, some of the my media colleagues who make this trip, they find a steakhouse that is like a must that you have to find. I'm looking at you, Sean Callahan, and your crew. Every trip. Where are they going to go? I don't know. I'm probably going to eat an In-N-Out burger. I haven't done that yet.
They're going. I can't remember the name of it, but we got a lot of confirmation on our show that it is like legit, whichever one they chose. It's a one-word name, something super fancy. You know,
they're Beverly Hills.
Oh yeah, they're doing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hey, there's nothing wrong with that. There's the place that the Rose Bowl takes the media every year. I'm going to look this up during the break. I've done it where you eat the giant prime rib. It's no joke, and it's really, really good, but definitely a touristy thing. All right, let's get through this. Nebraska's run pass split in the first quarter. So this is a percentage. We'll say a percentage of pass plays or run plays, whatever. It's going to equal out the same either way. You can get within 10%. You want to tell me a number and which way you're going. So like a 70-30, 60-40 kind of thing.
55% run.
55 run.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Sending a message.
Yeah.
Dana Holgorsen
is
going to be doing. All right. I'm going to say 60% pass. So I think Nebraska is going to come out and chuck the ball on Saturday. Okay. We are now picking the game. Nebraska is an 8.5-point underdog, 3 p.m. on Fox. Give me your score.
Nebraska 21, USC 28.
Okay.
Are these going to be the same? Are we going to have the same picks?
We do not have the same pick because I said 27-21 USC.
So you both have Nebraska covering and just falling a little short and waiting one more week potentially for bowl eligibility.
Right. Bonus bet today is first offensive play for Nebraska. You've got to nail it. You've got to say it's a completion to player X. It's a run by player X. It's an incompletion. Whatever direction you want to go, you got to nail it.
It'll be a handoff to Emmett Johnson that gains over the left side of the line. That gains 3 yards.
Okay, I'm going to say a Dylan Raiola incompletion.
Is he targeting somebody or is he just throwing it to nobody?
Oh, he's definitely going to target somebody. If you want that, we can go there. I'll say that he targets Ja'Cory Barney.
Nice.
But that's not required to get the pick right. We'll say that it's an incompletion.
Just in case.
All right. After the break, we've got picks around the Big Ten and around the country here in Week 12. That's coming up.
All right, it's Apper here. I want to tell you a little bit about Omaha Steaks. Oh, what a perfect sponsor for the Locked On Nebraska podcast. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. This year, skip the holiday hustle and bustle and save 50% off gourmet gifts site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, get a $30 reward card when you shop early and score an extra $30 off with the promo code COLLEGE. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience, and the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift this holiday season with thoughtfully curated gift packages starting at $89.99. From legendary steaks to mouthwatering desserts and more, save 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE and a $30 reward card when you shop early. That's 50% off at Omaha, OMAHA steaks.com, and an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. Minimum purchase may apply.
All right, and from one great sponsor of the Locked On podcast to another, I'm here to tell you about Home Field Apparel. Home Field is the exclusive apparel provider of the Locked On Nebraska podcast. We love the Home Field gear. You will love it too. What an exciting time here as the college football season winds to an end. College basketball season is revving up. Home Field is here to make your experience wearing clothes more enjoyable. It is a premium collegiate apparel brand based in Indianapolis. They specialize in incredibly comfortable, officially licensed apparel with vintage designs. Home Field is gearing up fans for the entire college football postseason, for the entire college basketball season, as I mentioned. What you want to do is get your hands on a football box. There's still time. It contains 3 never-before-seen items, curated so fans can wear the gear all season long and through the offseason. You can upgrade if you'd like to a platinum VIP box, which will get you extra stuff like a hat, a ringer, a koozie. Check it all out. Visit the website, homefieldapparel.com.
All right, welcome back. Connor Happer and Mitch Sherman with you here on a Friday. Let's get to some picks in the Big Ten Conference as we head that way. Let's stay out west where Mitch Sherman is at right now. Tonight, Friday night, on Fox, UCLA and Washington, a West Coast on West Coast game, formerly known as the Pac-12 Conference, now the Big Ten Conference. UCLA is hot right now. Washington is at home in Seattle, and they are 4.5-point favorites tonight.
Some of that magic that we've seen from UCLA in recent weeks, it's going to disappear tonight. They're going back to their roots, playing a Pac-12 game. I don't care what it says on the coin toss. It's a Pac-12 game here. UCLA at Washington. I like Washington to get healthy against the Bruins, win this game and cover.
I'm riding the hot hand with the Bruins. You know, the Bruins. We're in Los Angeles. It's us at USC. Those guys. Give me 3 games in a row for UCLA, or 4 games in a row for UCLA. Right?
Sean Foster, man. Did UCLA beat Rutgers? Was that a thing?
Yeah, it was like 35-32 or something like that, I want to say.
Yeah, so this would be 4 in a row for tonight for the Bruins and Deshaun Foster. I'm telling you, man, Big Ten Coach of the Year, not named Kurt Cignetti.
Non-Kurt Cignetti category. I love it.
Yeah.
Ohio State is at Northwestern, but not really. It's at Wrigley Field on Saturday, 11 o'clock. BTN, another 11 a.m. game for Ohio State, who is a 4-touchdown and a hook favorite.
Yeah, so the Big Ten schedule this week doesn't have a lot of compelling games, and that's why you see a couple of 28.5-point favorites listed here on the 4 that we're going to pick. This is the first one. Wrigley Field, all right, that's going to be enough to fire up the Buckeyes. I like them to cover.
Yeah, I do too. I like the Buckeyes to cover. I'm thankful mostly that Gus Johnson doesn't have to do this game and bore himself to death. That's good.
Ooh.
Exciting for him. Number 4, Penn State, also a 4 touchdown and a hook favorite at Purdue. These are we basically have, 2 of the 3 best teams in the conference playing 2 of the 3 worst teams in the conference here this weekend. Penn State's at Purdue, 2:30 CBS on. Oh my God. Man, Brad Nessler and Gary Danielson are going to just hate their lives as much as Gus did last Saturday.
It is going to be like that. I'm actually going to take Purdue here to lose by about 26 or 27. So that would be a cover in my book for the Boilers.
I'm not. I'm going to take Penn State, although I don't have a ton of faith in their offense to just like come out and blitz them. Purdue is going to score 0 points in this game, right? How about we make a side note there? Purdue, 0 points against Penn State.
Okay, I got it marked down. Shutout for Connor. Yep. Hey, quick break in the action. I do want to say it's the Lowry's Beef Bowl. That's the place where the Rose Bowl participants and assembled media go to eat every year around Christmas and New Year's. And also, we briefly touched on this Monday, but I didn't have the numbers added up. In the picks last week, I went a miserable 2-6. You went a slightly less miserable 3-5. So your lead is 7 games on the season over me.
We're back. Don't tell people about our Nebraska props. That's a different story.
I have the lead there.
Okay. Yeah, that's good enough. And the other best team in the Big Ten Conference, Oregon, is a 13.5 point favorite. So 2 touchdowns and a hook at, well, I guess slightly less than 2 touchdowns at Wisconsin. Wisconsin has got the greatest home schedule known to mankind for fans. 6:30 on NBC. It'll be jumping in there, but Oregon's 2 touchdown favorites.
Do we know the weather? I'm guessing it's not going to be great in Madison.
Ooh.
On Saturday night, 6:30. Huh. I'm just going to take the Badgers, not to win. I'm just going to take the Badgers because I think the weather's going to be a factor for the Ducks. Even if it's like 45 degrees and otherwise nice, that's not the weather that Oregon wants to play its offense in.
It does appear as if there is a chance of some precipitation, but it does not appear as if the temperature will be low enough to get the white stuff. So think about that. Oregon's used to rain. It rains up there. The Ducks to smash the Badgers, kind of badly.
Okay, those are our bad Big Ten picks. If it holds form like it has in the previous few weeks, we've got a Big 12 heavy look at the national slate that's coming up right after this.
All right, it's Zapper here for the FanDuel Sportsbook. Get ready for the weekend of football with the FanDuel Sportsbook, which is, of course, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get a $150 bonus bets if you win that first bet. Yeah, that's right. Whoa, that's worth looking at. $150 in bonus bets if you win that first bet. FanDuel gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL. And, of course, if you need to get it done a day in advance, that can work for you as well. But it is perfect for Sunday afternoon watching the full slate of NFL games. The NFL slate looks pretty solid this weekend. So here's what you're going to do. Head to FanDuel.com and join today. And once again, new customers, you're going to get started with $150 in bonus bets when you win that first $5 bet. Head to FanDuel.com today. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook.
Okay, back at it. Final segment of the week. We are going to look at some national games, actually some Big 12 games, because the SEC, for the most part, other than with one notable exception, is on its vacation week. It's powder puff week in many cases. Alabama's got a big game against Mercer at home this week. We're not going to pick that one. We are going to pick one. We'll get to that in a moment. But first, we've got a couple in the Big 12 to go over, starting with Utah, fresh off of that disappointing last-minute loss against rival BYU last week. We heard from the Utah athletic director. He was not pleased. He was later ridiculed. So Utah is 4-5. This game is 11 a.m. kickoff on Fox from Boulder. This is big noon. Wow, there they are.
Yep.
Okay, is Gus going to get excited for this? He's got a 4 and 5 team.
He'll probably be excited to see Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders again. But it has the potential to be one of those games that just kind of turns into a bit of a slog for a while. Utah does that to people. They're gonna try and drag them in the mud. So while I am much more confident in Colorado to win the football game, I think the number is entirely too large.
11.5 is the number.
I think the number is entirely too large. Colorado, wacko team. I mean, hell, they got the cover last week, and got like it looked that the number looked worse than it ended up actually being during the game because they scored in the very last seconds of it.
Texas Tech.
I will take Utah here, although I will not take the Utes to win the game.
Yeah, so I feel like we've picked Colorado just about every week since the Buffs came to Lincoln, and with the exception of maybe one game, I've not picked Colorado to cover. And again, I'm not picking Colorado to cover as it moves to 8-2 with a victory against the Utes. I think Colorado will win, but not by 11 points. Okay, what do we got here? In the Big 12, Arizona State at number 16, Kansas State. Cats, the Wildcats of Manhattan, not the Wildcats of Tempe. Kansas State is an 8.5-point favorite. This is 6 o'clock kickoff on ESPN. Both of these teams are 7-2. It's a playoff eliminator game. The loser of this game is not going to get into the Big 12 championship. The winner is still alive.
Yeah, 8.5 seems a little sizable as well. K-State is the kind of team that is once again going to kind of drag you through the mud a little bit. They could get explosive on you, but they could also get bogged down. Arizona State's been impressive, certainly more impressive under Kenny Dillingham this year than anybody expected. Give me the pitchforks. Give me ASU to cover the 8.5.
Sun Devils for Connor. I will take. Oh man, I said Wildcats. They are not the Wildcats. They're the Sun Devils. Right. K-State's the Wildcats, but I was Arizona's the Wildcats. I know this. Do not email me.
Yeah. You got it.
The Sun is having its way with me.
You're picking Arizona State.
I'm picking Kansas State. When I was introducing this game, when I was explaining this game, I said Wildcats on Wildcats crime. It's not. Because Arizona is the Wildcats and Arizona State is the Sun Devils, and this is something that I've known for 40 years.
I apologize for not stopping you on that one.
No, it's all right. It's fine. Okay, this is the game in the SEC that matters on Saturday. Number 7, Tennessee at number 12, Georgia. The lower ranked team is a 10.5-point favorite. 6:30 on ABC. The Dogs, they got to win this one. They're coming off that embarrassing loss. I think it's embarrassing if you're Georgia and you lose 28-10 in the SEC. I don't care who the opponent is. That's tough. This is Georgia. 10.5-point favorites at home.
Where has the offense gone for Georgia? Not that it was ever, particularly explosive. Like he didn't think of them as having the best offense in the country. It's been built on defense. But man, it's been rough for the last few games for them. With that in mind, 10.5 seems large. I mean, this is a through line here. So I'm going to take Tennessee to cover the 10.5. I love that I'm getting the hook on the 10 there. That's lovely. Give me the Vols to cover.
All right. I'm going to go against you because I have to catch up. Gain ground. So I'm taking Georgia. I was already going to take Georgia. We talked on the show Wednesday about the national leader in interceptions, Kyle McCord with 12. Well, he's tied for the national lead in interceptions with Carson Beck, the Georgia quarterback. So that's where the Georgia offense has gone into the hands of defenses that have lined up opposite. Georgia don't throw interceptions. You don't need to push the envelope if you're Georgia. Georgia, with the team that it has, the talent that it has, the ability to run the ball and play defense, it should not throw interceptions. So that one puzzles me with Carson Beck. His draft stock, I believe, has plummeted this college football season. All right, last one. This is a line that I just don't get when I look at it. Kansas, the Jayhawks, who are 3-6, have played better of late. At number 6, BYU, which is 9-0. The game is at BYU. It's not at a neutral site. BYU is a 2.5-point favorite. This is some serious Big 12 after dark, 9:15 kickoff from Provo on ESPN. What's going on here?
Well, I mean, Kansas much better as of late. I think that is that's a good way to start the conversation. Over the last couple of weeks, they've crushed Houston. They lost close to K-State, and they really beat Iowa State pretty good. And again, that ended up looking closer than it actually was at the end. Obviously, there's no getting out of a 5-game losing streak out of that hole. So their season is, it's taking on a different light than it would have at the beginning of the season. But I get it. I get the line. With that being said, I will take BYU to cover. Just trust them more. They seem to have a little bit of magic, kind of fairy dust to them. Obviously underscored by that Utah game last week, getting a call late and driving down the field and kicking a field goal. Give me BYU to cover the 2.5.
Yeah, it just screams too good to be true. Like I'm tempted to actually bet this. I had a layover in Las Vegas. I should have taken a later flight and gone and made this, or I could just get on the FanDuel Sports app. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to go the other way, be reactive and take Kansas, because I feel like I would then have overthought this. BYU will win the game and cover the 2.5 points.
Okay. Is that it? Any final thoughts before we see you off, Mitch, and have a lovely sunny weekend?
It's not all fun and play out here. I have been to the beach. I'm going to try tonight on Friday night to go check out TJ Lateef. Have I mentioned that on the pod to this point?
You have not.
Yeah, Nebraska's quarterback commit, plays for Orange Lutheran. His team is in the playoffs, in the CIF Big Class playoffs. So I'm excited to see a big-time California high school football game. They're playing Sarah, another powerhouse program. There's big games all over the Los Angeles and Orange County region on Friday night, but I'm going to go check out TJ Lateef, see what he's all about. And if everything holds to form, he'll be signing with Nebraska on December 4th. So we'll get a look at the future Husker. That's about it from me. Expecting some other recruiting news this week, maybe this weekend. Things continue to trend in the direction of Dawson Merritt, the Alabama commit, flipping to Nebraska. We'll see if that happens in conjunction with Nebraska's trip to USC this weekend. Otherwise, all eyes on Dana Holgorsen.
I want to see some food pictures. I want to see a picture of a taco before you leave town.
All right, I'll send it to you.
All right, good. That's it for the show. I'll be here in Nebraska all weekend, where the weather's not so bad, for the record. Appreciate you listening to the Locked On Nebraska podcast and making it your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On Big Ten podcast. You can find that on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts.